No, we like it, but here we go. Anyway, take 2. October Red. I'm back here with our cruiserweight. Kind of like still my favourite. You know, Richard Riakphore, welcome back.
Nice to see you. Nice to have you here. You know, it's always good energy when you're here, so you're welcome.
Today you've had some good sparring sessions here with your coach. I think I've been here for the past couple of days, putting in some graft. But before we talk about what's going to happen in the future, I want to rewind and talk about some of the fights that we've seen. And it'd be rude of me not to go straight in for the neck. And we've got to talk about Jordan Thompson or Riakporhe versus Jordan Thompson. You were supposed to have that fight. Everyone was expecting you to have that fight and you didn't. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's just the politics in boxing. And everybody knew as soon as the fight got ordered, everybody was excited because they knew it was going to be a very interesting fight. You had somebody that was southpaw, explosive, aggressive, and somebody that has a track record of knocking out southpaws as well, can punch. So it was a perfect clash. I was up for it. I know he was up for it. And then, you know, I remember going on social media, I saw Matchroom post, you know, they signed him, and I just knew that I don't think this is going to happen now. Something's going to, it's not looking good. And the reason why I thought like that, because I just started getting calls, group chats, bang, urgent call. Let's do video calls. Oh my God. And then, things fell through. Tried to get the fight. Before even that post came out and stuff like that, we were trying to negotiate a fight before we even went to purse bids. And, you know, apparently the deal was good that they offered him, you know, everything on these terms. We were ready to do whatever, to go to Australia, as long as we have the time that we need to prepare. But politics. We were training, we was in limbo. I had sparring partners there, wasting a lot of money as well, you know, preparing, and we're just waiting in limbo, just seeing if we can get things sorted. And then it just wasn't clear, too much uncertainty. And then, fortunately for me, I had, you know, different options. You know, we had a number one contender with the WBO, and then even the WBA. You know, Gulamarin Arsen, he was up for fighting as well, and negotiations were going on, simultaneously, and then we finally agreed a deal with Gulamarin to fight him. I think it was in the UK. No, initially it was in France, but then he said he's willing to come over here. So I thought, perfect. So scrapped the IBF route, and then we went for Gulamarin. We had the artwork, everything ready. Everything was ready, and I think Everything Boxing even posted up the artwork. I saw it, and you know, everybody was talking, thinking, "Oh, what's going on? Richard this, Richard that." We wanted to see. Everybody was frustrated because everybody wanted to see the fight, but you know, we had a treat for them. Before, you know, this is still going to be a good fight anyway. And then we found out that he had some legal issues with his current promoter, and I was like, so why would you agree a fight if you knew this initially? But you know how it goes. You know, when there's money involved, everybody wants a cut. Everybody wants to have their slice of the cake, and that's when we just knew that probably is not going to happen. At that time, I was already in camp as well, preparing for that fight, spending money. It was just a nightmare. So it was like preparing for Gulamarin first, then they ordered the IBF, preparing for Jay. Then we came back to Gulamarin, then the legal issues. Boxing.
Wow. It's easy for me to sit here, and I'm not going to ask you to put your promoter, your broadcaster on the spot, because that's not fair to you. Everyone looks at it from the public, from the fans' point of view. I'm a fan, first and foremost. And some of us are like, these guys are getting these opportunities, and then boxing politics, as you said, is getting in the way. You're a fighter. You're the one that's obviously putting out a statement to saying, basically, negotiations folded and we're going to take another route. You've been through the point where you had to have 18 months off because you're in the process of changing management. You've had all of this politics to deal with before You obviously signed with Boxer and started on what seemed like a really good trajectory. So when this happened again, what's going through your mind?
It was a lot of frustration. We just wanted to fight. We were training very hard, preparing for anybody, anybody that was on the table. And yeah, we were just hoping that they can sort out their differences. I was telling, my brother was dealing with negotiations as well with Boxer, and we're saying, look, we still want the fight. We still want the fight. We don't mind having to go to Australia to fight and stuff. And at the same time, I didn't want to really get too much involved in the business side. I'm a fighter. All we do is train to compete, and that's my full focus. And I don't want to really be getting involved in the business side of things. And yeah, it was very, very frustrating, very frustrating. But I've been through a lot, as you know. I've been through a lot. This is not new to me. I've been through different situations as well that bring a lot of stress. Even Marine was having a lot of stress as well. He was saying that he needs extra time to train because he's dealing with a lot of stress. It's not easy for us fighters. All we want to do is jump in the ring, but there's a lot of things that go on, outside variables that affect a lot of fights not taking place. A lot of people, like the boxing casual, are quick to just point fingers and go, yo, like this fighter doesn't want it, or this fighter is not on it. But it's so complex and complicated. If you haven't been in the business for long, or don't know about boxing too much, you're going to understand that it's a lot of things fall through because people with egos, different promoters battling back and forth, fighting with each other, wanting to have more power. They want the shows to be on their broadcast. So there's other wars that are going on. There's other fights that are going on that a lot of people don't even realize. So, when they find out that something has fell through, the first thing they want to do is just point at the fighters. But it's so much more complicated than that.
We're saying point the fingers at the fighters, and like I said, I can only look at it from like a fan's point of view because I'm not behind the scenes with you guys. We see that any time Boxer is supposed to work, or is a probability that they'll work with Matchroom, then fights get stopped, pull out of purse bids last minute. We saw it with Fraser Clark. And like I said, I could be wrong, but you're looking at it from the surface point of view. This is what we see. And then it looks like, yeah, like you said, the fighter gets the blame. But the main consensus and the general kind of opinion is, well, it's the fighter that pulls out, not the promoter. The fighter's the one that's got to pull out. It's got nothing to do with the promoter. It's got nothing to do with the platform. So when you talk about blame, obviously everyone's going to point their finger at you if they believe that you're the fighter, but you're pulling out.
Yeah, of course. They're always gonna point the fingers, and I think that's just human nature. Everybody wants to blame something or somebody instead of taking accountability. And with us, at the same time, we're fighters. All we're gonna do is just go back to the gym. We're gonna, check and see what the best decision is to make business-wise, to make the most money, and to have decent contests that's gonna draw eyes and get us the recognition and the respect that we deserve. So there's a lot of things that we think about. It's not just fights and what people want to see. Sometimes it's you have to just assess everything and look at the whole landscape, look at the bigger picture, and then make decisions, which led us to go, okay, look, if this is going to be an issue and this is going to be a headache to deal with, there's other parties involved which seem like they're disrupting. I don't know if they are. They seem like it. Then maybe that might not be a wise route to go. So we'll check every single other route, and when the time is right, if the fight happens, in the future, then it can happen. Simple.
You said everything for a reason. That's something that we discussed. I remember I came into the gym, I think it was before Jordan Thompson was due to have that fight, and you said, look, it's one of them. I'm going to have to deal with it. Everything for a reason. You're sat at home. That fight is on the screen. You could have been there, but you weren't. You see Jordan Thompson in there with Riakporhe. Talk us through that fight and what you thought of that.
Yeah, when I saw the fight from round one, I just thought, damn, this guy's going to be in for a long night, because it was doing certain things which I think Jordan wasn't even conscious of, which was making the fight very easy, very, very, very easy for Riakporhe. It was almost like a punching bag for him. He was standing right in front of him. He didn't really know how to negate certain things, where to move. And one of the things that he did wrong was to have this Mayweather type guard against the southpaw. I was like, whoa, you're playing with fire, my man. You're playing with fire. But when you check Jordan's track record, he hasn't had that type of developing to take on a fight like that. That's the truth. And then you have to really question, was it the right decision to make? He just beat, I think prior to that he beat Luke Watkins.
Yeah.
And that was back and forth as well. So to then jump up and then fight somebody that just beat a solid champion, and not only that, but he's a southpaw. You have to really think about it and think, is that the best decision to make and a fight to put on? And if you do, you better make sure that you're getting a ton of money. If you're gonna take a risk like that, because if I were to think from a managerial point of view, there's so many fights domestically that you could have done, even going for the British. Who's a British champion now? Isaac's a British champion. There's good fights there. There's I forgot all the names now.
You got Isaac. You had Mikhail Lawal at the time.
Mikhail Lawal. You've got
Vidal Riley.
Vidal Riley, exactly. You got a whole bunch of these guys where you can have a good 3-4 fights of development and then jump into to take a risk, And even then, if you're going to take a risk against a southpaw of that caliber, gosh, you have to make sure that you have some decent southpaw fights. And I don't think he fought any competitive southpaw before that. You can't. It doesn't work like that. You have to get your education, if you will, before this type of fights. But I guess there's a lot of pressure as well from the outside when people say, look, this is a world title opportunity, you might not get it again, take it. Yes, at the same time, you have to really weigh up the consequences, how you go out, what the result is going to be, and how he can return from a type of result, because a lot of people don't consider that there's a mental type of beating that you take as well. And this is why matchmaking is very important. When you're coming up in the game and you're matchmaking, every single champion, if you go and check their track records, even Riakporhe's, you will see all of them came through fights way before with opponents that weren't threats. They weren't threats. And it's only certain people that had it the rough way. I would say I had it the rough way.
Yeah,
I had it the rough way, but it's made me who I am. It's put me in the position that I am now. So I deserve to be here. It's different for me. But not everybody can go them type of routes, unfortunately. And I think it's to do with things that you've been through, the attributes and genetics I've been blessed with, power. I've always got a chance in a fight. Plus, I've been through a lot of struggle, so it's developed me in that regard as a fighter. But not a lot of people can come through. Sometimes they might get one test and just fail the test, and then everything changes there. And if they fail in a dramatic way, like getting knocked out and stuff, mentally that's going to be really difficult to come back from. And if you assess that, you cut down your earning power of making even more money. Let's just say if you got paid a certain amount of money, he could have definitely got it from fighting those other type of domestic level fights and still got a nice bag from a world title shot. So that's the way I think of it as a manager. So sometimes we have to be careful about who's pressuring you, to take certain fights and what's the reward, what's the pros and cons.
That's a fair point. One thing that you've mentioned there, pressuring about taking fights and looking at it from a managerial point of view. Shout out to the Undefeated podcast that had Henry Riakporhe as a guest on. a couple of weeks ago. So really good conversations. And one of the things that Henry pointed out is the fact that you were offered the fight with Lawrence Okolie and you actually turned that down. Hence why he ended up fighting Chris Billam-Smith.
With that fight, I think we had our own roots, and it was the Okolie fight. It's never a thing where, look, we're offering you this fight next. Like, do you want it or not? It's never that. My position as the first guy that signed with Boxer is completely different to those guys' positions. It's never like, hey, Richard, this is the fight you got. Like, take it. And if you don't take it, we'll look for something. No, it's like, Richard, what do you want to do? It's completely different. Now my position has changed because, you know, we're mandatory for certain titles. It's like, yeah, this is what's gonna happen. We all know, you know, it's not a thing where, oh, let's pick and choose this and that. But with Okolie, that fight, these domestic fights are always gonna be there. There's no need to chase for those type of fights. And my goal is to be a world champion. You know that's all like that. Mentally, that's all I think about. I think about my family name. I think about building. And with Okolie's situation now, he obviously doesn't have the world title, so we were completely focused on getting one of those world titles, and then we can mix it together. You know, no problem. I don't have a problem with that.
So was that fight, I just need to make this clear, was you offered that world title shot when he had the belt and you said, no, that's not a fight that I want? I need to...
No, that's nonsense. The fights were always there, and it's a thing where we wanted to maximize. The plan was always to win a title and do unification. For those that don't know, them fights were always there. We could easily get the shots, but unification... get my own title in unification. Right. I didn't want it to ever, like, I rate myself, you know, as a fighter, and I always believe that I don't need to chase all of these Muppets for what they got. Let me just go and get my own thing and bring something to the table, so we can negotiate from a level playing ground. That's all it was, you know. Get the title. If you ask Ben Shalom, if you ask Sky, they will say the same thing. That was the idea, which is why we kept on focusing on those roots. Ben Shalom never came to me ever and said, look, we got Okolie there for you. Never. It was always, let's go get Jay or let's get Gulamarian. Jay or Gulamarian. We tried to get the WBC, but, you know, they snoozed with that one. But Jay or Gulamarian. And that's what it was. That was the complete focus from a long time ago, which is why after my last fight against Golovaki, we were straight in the gym preparing for Gulamarian, because we thought, bang, we're gonna get the WBA. We were told the WBA want to do the fight, and we was in training. I was paying sparring partners. Everything was set up for us to win. Simple.
So that's interesting to know, because the public don't know that bit. The public think it was Jay Opetaia that flopped. Then you guys went chasing Gulamarian. When Gulamarian was there first, he was in his legal entanglement. Like you said, artwork was put up. Then, obviously, the opportunity with Jay came up. That flopped. Went back to Gulamarian. That didn't happen. And here we are today. Is that fair to say?
That's it. And here we are today.
So today, then, obviously, this is going to come out later. You're scheduled for a fight. The Midnight Train is back. So talk to us a little bit about that date, when, who.
So I'm back on the 18th. So been preparing for that, you know, behind the scenes, just focusing on that, and you know, it's all about staying active. You know, preparation, activity is very, very important, as all of the fans know. So we're gonna jump on that card there, and then we're waiting to be called out for the mandatory for the WBO. I'm number one, and
again.
And yeah, once they order that, then the fans are gonna see that fight straight away.
So would you say that this fight is just like a stay busy fight?
I don't like to say stay busy, because all these fights are risky. Anything can happen. A fight is a fight. But, you know, if you want to put it that way, you can.
Straight to the point. Are you going to tell us who the opponent is?
Yeah, this Dylan Brigone. He fought Isaac at your call. I don't know if you remember.
Okay. What card was that on?
I don't know. I think it was Clark versus.
Oh, right, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many rounds?
I don't know. I'm not too sure, you know.
See, I'm digging because I want to know.
I want 10 rounds. So
All right.
I don't think it's going to go that long, but that's what I want, 10 rounds.
Listen, I'm not, like I said, I know there's like loads of things, you know, that I could ask, but look, I don't want to put you on a spot, but as a fan, it's like we feel like we need to know because you've got people out here that are like backing you. There's even people out here saying, Richard Riakphore had a lucky escape because if he went in with Riakporhe would have smoked him as well. That's kind of like the energy that's out there. Mm-hmm. What would you say to that?
Well, look, you can only check on the track record. You know, I've I don't know, my last 3 opponents were all southpaws.
Yeah, they were actually.
You know, I think it was an 8-round knockout, 2nd-round knockout, and a 4th-round knockout. One against a former world champion 2 times as well. So you have to check the track record. And also, you don't know what I'm capable of as well. And I feel like them fights for me were learning fights. I look at them and I think, damn, I was making a lot of mistakes there. I speak to my coach, Angel. Angel says, you know what? We got the guy out, but we could have done it in better style. There's so many things that we learn. You know, it's all about experience in this game. They knew, which is why if you... one of the things that a lot of people don't know is when we was trying to make the fight, they opted for a voluntary defense, a warm-up before me. And then I had my team, you know, arguing back and forth with the organization saying, no, we want to fight with him next. But they wanted Jordan Thompson as a warm-up. Yes. They didn't want to jump in with me straight away. They wanted Jordan Thompson as a warm-up because they understand the threat. You know, it's easy to say one thing, but most of the people that are going to be talking about if they see the fight going this way and that way, you know, a lot of them are casual boxing fans. They don't really understand the risks there. You know, when somebody's a big puncher like that, you know, anything can happen. Doesn't matter. You can get outboxed at the last round and bang. You know, that's how it goes.
That is boxing. Listen, Rich, I know you've got to get off. Thanks for having me in your gym, to yourself, to Angel, your coach. It's always a pleasure. I wish you all the best. I'll be there fight week. Now that I know that you're on the card, I ain't missing that. Team Richard Riakphore, you know what to do. Go and follow him. His Instagram's interesting. He's like a model and a boxer, but we're fully focused on boxing.
Modeling first.